Okay, so many people have wondered who is Leon Thomas the third, and I think this is probably the best episode to talk about it because he released a song, um, a couple weeks ago called Breaking Point. Now, Breaking Point has a great visual to it, but back to some background information. So, Leon Thomas is better known as Andre Harris on the show previously known as Victorious. Victorious was a show that ran from the early 2000s and in the last couple of years has not been on air. So Leon Thomas, as you know, as if you know him from Victorious, he was Andre, and he had very musical talents. So many of those talents are producing, coming up with lyrics, and coming up to write different things. However, he created a song called Breaking Point, and Breaking Point to me is the song that he released currently that we will be talking about. And I had to give that brief introduction of who Leon Thomas is because Leon Thomas is not known a lot of what he's done. He's not very known musically, but he is known acting wise. So I did want to clear that up before we talk about it real quick. Let's see if we have any spots. We'll get right into it. Okay, so as I've discussed earlier, he created a song called Breaking Point. And Breaking Point has a very interesting way of opening up. He says that ooh, and it's very much him, and we're not. And if you're not a huge Leon Thomas fan, then you aren't necessarily aware of him vocally. He says he opens it up with his first verse saying that I slowly dancing in a burning house. I don't want to go anywhere. It's hard to listen when there's miles apart distance from us, which it just kind of shows this is that the process of thinking about love and almost at that breaking point where we can't necessarily I don't want to say trust in love, but have like that person or that significant other that we have to be with, and that we feel that we're closer to that person when we call each other home. When I'm home, when I'm with you, I feel like I'm at home. He says, feel your heart is drifting, but you're right here. You're right there. I mean, just like our hearts seem to not be aligned, or we don't seem as fully in love as we once were, but you're there. So get it. Even when you're here, we don't feel very much connected. I'll call home, but I might be alone. I'll call you home, but I might be alone. Meaning that I don't know where we end up in a situation right now, but sometimes I do feel like I could have been at home. But sometimes I feel like I'm alone. Like we don't talk as much as we used to when you were in the same state as me, or when you're in the same country. And that first verse is, and he says we're in a dangerous zone. We're towards that breaking point where we might not be a couple anymore, which to some extent we really do get, and it's very well written that Thomas the Third does, right? And I have a weird habit of calling him Andre because every time I see him, he's Andre, but he's breaking that image, especially with this song. It's kind of a love R&B song, but it's the way that this is carried through with this bridge. It's like, I can't turn down the noise. You're my only choice. It's very much, hey, we're in this relationship. We're going to talk about it. We're going to fight through it to get to a better place, which to some extent, I don't disagree with. That's what you should be trying. And then the pre-chorus is, of course, Breaking Point, because that's the name of the song. So I do like that. They told me that love, and this other chorus after this pre-chorus is just something that I do love. I love this third chorus where he says, they told me that love was fragile. They told me love was breakable. And I thought I could handle it, but that's debatable. It flows off the tongue, but it's also, it points out some flaws that people say that love, when you know you're in love, and that's very solid. But then I've heard other people's advice about love, and I got a few people's discussions about love, because love to me is different from love from somebody else. So they were just saying that, when you're in a relationship, or when you love somebody, that love might not always be unconditional, and that at some point it can break, which to some extent we do get, and that's why he says they told me love was breakable, but I didn't believe it. it's a weird thing to listen to, and this song is great at the way that it interprets love. Right? He says, "Thoughts running through my head. How bad can it get? Like, how bad can we be in this relationship before I'm not the type of man? Before I get to this part where I'm a different man or I'm a different person. No, I'm not the type of man to run away off on a bet to show my show my full hand, to show that I fully love you. I'm not that type of person to just go completely out and show you and just run off and just run off and show you how much I love you. But it's a weird thing. He says that I have to rest in peace, or to say bye to the plans that I have for us or for you. He says particularly, but we assume it's for the relationship. What am I though? What are we going through? Like, what are we at in this relationship? What are we really at? And to some extent, you can understand why he feels that way. And to some extent, I get why this song is our love is only our love is my only proof that love exists, and that is true. That is what I'm supposed to do. Like, he's just saying that this love is the only way he can prove that this is the love that he was meant to have. And it's so weird because this song, to me, could have been written by him and it could have been written by Andre. They're the same person. I do admit that. But this is great. This is a great way to break into that spot of being a creative outside of a TV show. This is the best way to put it. And to some extent, I do like the way that this is put together. And overall, I would rate this one of the better songs I've heard of 2022. And I would say this song is an 8 out of 10, a solid 8 out of 10, because it has meaning, it has great engineering, and production wise, I don't think you can do better than Leon Thomas III, especially with this vocal and his chorus. That no matter what songs he's in, his chorus is always great. And the fact that it was majority written by him and written by other people, but to see him in the writing credits is something that I do love. So overall, it's an 8 out of 10 for me.